Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Hamida. I love to talk about books and TV shows. If you've seen my other videos, you know I don't get my mic out, but I've got my mic out this time. New year, not new Hamida, but something new, I guess. The mic is out. I'm gonna start using my mic because I just feel like it's cool using my mic. In this video, I am going to be talking about my January wrap up. I read 8 books in the month of January. That's a lot more than I did last year, January. I feel like last year, January, I was in a reading slump. My reading didn't really start until the end of January, which I found to be the case at the start of a new year, because I feel like by December of the previous year, I'm struggling to reach my reading goal. So I read a lot of book and burn myself out, and then I go into a reading slump. So when January comes, I don't want to pick up any book, and I'm not interested in any book up until maybe the end of January, beginning mid of February. But this year is different. This year is different because I reached my goal, went way over my goal, so I didn't have any need to rush through books in December. So I wasn't in a reading slump at the beginning of the year. I just kind of like continued with the flow. So I read 8 books this year, different books, fantasy, sci-fi, thriller. I think it's a thriller. Is it thriller or is it mystery? I don't know. But anyway, I read 8 books this month and let's discuss them. I don't really know how I feel about holding my mic because it's quite small and it's just a bit dinky. I might find something else to hold it with. But for now, I'm just going to have to hold it like this. I lied. I needed something to hold it. Anyway, let's get into the first book. The first book I read in January. The first book I read in January was the second book to the daughter of Unri, which is called The First Descendants. Oh, The Descendants of the First. I lied. Descendants of the First. Descendant of the First continues to follow Nala and Sinai. They have unalived the evil Is and the evil king, and they are now on the run because they killed the king. They unalived the king. Nobody in the kingdom knows that it's them. Only a few people know. And the people that know smuggled them out of the kingdom so that they don't get in trouble. Not the people. One person made a deal with the devil. I'm going to call him the devil. Made a deal with the devil and managed to get the twins out of Unri. And now they have also woken the gods. The gods are angry some of the gods are angry at them and trying to unalive Nala and Sinai. And Nala and Sinai are trying to bond because obviously imagine you living all your life and on a random Tuesday, a random girl pops up looking exactly like you. Turns out she's your twin. Turns out your parents are supposed to unalive one twin because having twins in the kingdom is unacceptable, and they didn't unalive one, they just separated you both at birth, and now you're both here, descendants of a goddess. I love this book so much. I love where the direction where the story is heading. I love when authors are able to show us their characters, the main character's strength, and not just physical strength, like mental strength as well, because Nala and I go through a lot, and boy did they grow. If I were them, I'd give up. Okay, I don't like stress. This is why I can't be in any fantasy world, because I don't like stress. I just want to be chilled. I don't like stress. If you're chasing me, I'll let you catch me. What's the point of running when you're gonna catch me anyway? So I just let you catch me. Going back to the book. Yeah, Nala and Sinai. I love them. You can never make me hate them. They are becoming more they're learning more about their powers and how to use their powers and the gifts and whatnot. They have an idea of how to save Unri, because even though they've killed the Eze of Unri, the king, another person is taking charge, and this person might just be as mad as the old king, because he believes that the way to save Unri is to unalive a lot of people and basically cleanse the bad people and then start afresh. Yeah. So he's just as bad, in my opinion. That's why I said Olu made a deal with the devil when he tried to get the girls out of Unri, because my guy sold his soul to the devil. Anyway, I love the side characters. Warichi Opia did a fantastic job narrating this book. I fell in love, even more in love with the characters, even more in love with the world. Not a single time when I was not once did I think, oh my god, this is boring. I'm bored. Like I didn't feel that like that. Unlike the first book I felt like some parts were boring, but the second book was just fast paced. We just got straight into it. We just kept going, and it wasn't boring. No random unnecessary info dump. I gave it 4 stars because it deserved 4 stars. I think I gave book one 3 stars. This is 4 stars. So it's an improvement. So maybe who knows? The third book might be a 5 star. When you never know. The second book I read in January is Let's Split Up by Bill Wood. If you don't know, Bill Wood is a very popular book talker in the UK. I don't know if outside the UK. He's just a big TikToker, okay? Bill published his book last year. I read it in October, but because I wasn't in the mood for reading and I felt like I forced myself to read it, I felt like I didn't enjoy it. So I did a reread because I felt like I didn't do it justice. I wasn't fair. I didn't give it a chance. I decided to read it again and I enjoyed it. This book, Let Us Split, follows Jonesy, Cam, Amber, and Buffy. They all go to the same school. Buffy's a new girl. Jonesy, Amber, and Cam are already friends. They've been friends for a long time. Buffy joins them later when she comes into town. Jonesy's first day in town didn't go great because they found out that the it couple of the school was murdered by some rando person in a house. There's this haunted house. They believe it's haunted because it used to be owned by this guy who I think unalived his family. So there's like they think it's haunted. I think he's still around killing people, unaliving people. You know what kids are like? They want spooky, they want storytelling, they want to do whatever, the day each other to do whatever. The it couple goes there, they were recording, and then they went on alive by some figure that we couldn't see, but they could see. Anyway, the news broke at school the following day, and all hell broke loose. Everyone's scared. I was like, oh my god, the ghoul is back. The whatever is back. Like, don't go to the house. But then Jonesy, Cam, Amber, and Buffy wanted to solve the mystery, to find out who is unaliving these people, who unalive the it couple, basically. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I felt like it was a bit predictable. Like, at first, when I started reading it, I felt like the author was trying to, when you're watching a movie and you can tell that they are trying to plant a seed in your head of like you to believe that a certain character might be who the killer is, but you know that it's not them because it's just too obvious. Every time, like I think it's Cam or is it Jonesy? I don't know if it's Jonesy or Cam that doesn't trust Buffy because she's the new girl and you don't know why she came into town and whatever. So like all the author kept hinting that it might be Buffy, but I was like, no, you're not about to trick me. You cannot trick me. So I didn't believe it, and I was right because it wasn't Buffy. It was one of their teachers. I can't remember. I think it was one of the teachers. I think it was a teacher. But this is the one problem I had with Thin, because I felt like by the time we found out the reveal of who the killer was, I didn't care. I just felt like I didn't know enough about the character to be like, how could you be the one? How could you be the killer? I can't believe it's you, because I felt like we didn't get much of that character at all for me to even suspect. When you have multiple suspects, you go into it and you're like, it might be this person because of this, it might be this person because of this. But I felt like the author kind of pushes us to suspect Buffy. That's what I think, okay? If you don't think the same, that's fine. But that's what I felt. I felt like the author was pushing us into thinking that Buffy might be the killer because she's suspicious. She's a new girl in town. We don't really know much about her, why she moved into town, because no one ever moves into this town, apparently. The last newbie was Cam or Jonesy. I don't know. I get the two boys mixed up. When we found out who the killer was, I was like, who are you? I knew that it was his teacher because we met him just briefly, but I didn't care that he was the killer. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't upset. I wasn't like, oh my god, I got it. I was just happy that I knew that it wasn't Buffy. Does that make sense? But yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. I enjoyed it. It was a fun read. A bit gory, but it was a fun read. We're getting a sequel according to the author. The title reveal's coming soon, so yeah, check out their Instagram page or their TikTok. It's Bill Wood. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. It was a fun read. It was a quick, easy read. If you're into thriller, was it thriller mystery? If you like Scooby Doo, go read the book. You'll enjoy it. The third book I read in January was The Brightness Between Us. It's the sequel to The Darkness Outside. I think that's what the first book is called. I gave this book, this is my first 5-star of the year. I was shocked that I gave it 5-star, okay? Because I'm very harsh, okay? I don't tend to give a lot of 5 stars, but this book gave me everything I wanted in a sequel. I loved it. It's been 17 years since Ambrose and Kodiak spacecraft crash landed into that whatever planet that crashed into at the end of book one. It's been 17 years. Remember I told you that they had like frozen embryos and stuff. Anyway, 2 of them survived, and they have Yarrow and Owl. They're teenagers now. I think Yarrow, she is 15 and 15 or 14, 14 or 15, and Owl is 15 going 16. Yarrow wants to explore the planet, but Ambrose and Kodiak are a bit skeptical because they think the planet is dangerous because there's some wild animals, whatever there that, Anyway, there's wild animals, not that it was already on the planet, but they were animals that they'd brought from Earth that had grown into this scary monster that unalives them if they cross their paths. Anyway, Yarrow wants to explore. They're running out of like metal and stuff, and they need stuff. They need materials. They need things. And Yarrow wants to explore them, but Kodiak and Ambrose they don't want her to go. And then Owl is the brother. He's laid back. He's chilled. He likes spending time with his dad. I think Yarrow clashes with Kodiak, or is it Ambrose? Yarrow clashes with Kodiak because they're just both strong-headed and stubborn. But Owl gets along with both his dad because he's just chilled. So we meet them. They're doing the lifey things, still getting on, whatever, whatnot. And then we go back to the very beginning of when we meet the real Kodiak and the real Ambrose. I felt like that was the best thing ever. Meeting them, like we got to see Ambrose and Kodiak before they were cloned. They were tricked into thinking they were actually going on this mission. They go through all this medical assessment, all these things, all this whatever, and they were told that they were going. So they believed that they were going, only then to find out that it was just a lie. So they made them believe it so that they can copy their brain data, whatever the hell they were copying to make. And then obviously when the clones come to life, the clones actually believe that they are Ambrose and Kodiak, right? Real Ambrose and Kodiak have actually never met each other. They are aware of each other's existence. They know that 2 of them are going on a mission, but they'd never met. When they found out, it was when the real Ambrose found out that it's not him actually going on the mission and it's his clone. There's multiple clones. He kind of rebelled, okay? He wanted nothing to do with that. He was very upset, and rightfully so, because if you're telling me I'm going on a mission to save my sister and whatnot, and then I find out that my sister's actually been dead and there was no distress call from his sister, and you guys just tricked me and you're just sending clones, I'm gonna be pissed, okay? And I felt like he had the right to be pissed. To find out Kodiak took the news a bit bad as well. So he went into wanting to live in a small village life, I think, in the middle of nowhere with his, I think it's sheep. Ambrose meets this guy who is part of the revolution, the rebels, who wants to go against what the planet was, whatever Ambrose's mom was planning. And Ambrose obviously join forces with this guy, and then they get caught, and then this guy gives Ambrose this coordinates. The coordinates leads to Kodiak, and that's how they met. And then it's them trying to find a way to send information to the clones. They found out that the guy that Ambrose joined forces with to rebel or whatever had corrupted the embryos and made it that if any of the embryos were to survive, when they reach the age of 16, it will trigger something in their brain and they'll become violent and kill everybody on that planet so that none of them exist. Okay? So that the mission fails. Remember when I say that Owl is about to turn 16? He keeps having like moments where he forgets things, and then he like disables like the security system. He does basically puts them in harm's way, but he doesn't remember why. It's because he's nearly 16, and whatever the hell that man from Earth had injected into embryos was taking a root in Owl because he's about to turn 16. The real Ambrose and Kodiak from Earth, many light years back, decided that they needed to send information to wherever the destination of wherever they fired a lot of flares into, because this is very futuristic and apparently you can just shoot flares and hope for the best and it'll reach the planet that you think you want it to reach, unless I'm missing something. Anyway, they shoot the flares and the world was ending on Earth actually, because if you remember in the first book, clone Ambrose and Kodiak knows that Earth is no longer, because I think a meteorite hit her Earth. I think, I can't remember, but anyway, Earth went kaboom, and before it went kaboom, real Ambrose and Kodiak sent information up into the sky, hoping it reaches clone Ambrose and Kodiak if they did survive the journey. Yarrow, the explorer, found something, and whilst all of that was happening, Owl went crazy and tried to kill everybody. And they found out that there was a radioactive wave thing that was going to hit the planet that they're on, so they have to survive it. So they needed a lot of things, and they had to save Owl, because obviously you can't leave no man behind. It don't matter if he's trying to unalive you guys, you still gotta save him. So they tried to save him, and they were supposed to go underground for however many years it takes for the whole radioactive radiation, whatever, to leave the planet. And they knew that it was going to take 3 years, so they went back into they took the Ambrose and Kodiak took their kids back into the spaceship on the ground, and the kids didn't know how they were gonna like survive the whole journey and stuff like that. So they decided to put like a projection that they had in book one before they realized that they were clones and they weren't really anywhere near Earth. It's like a projection, and you get to see like it makes them think that they are near Earth and not really that far away from Earth, I guess. It was just so cute. It gave me everything. I don't know if I described that right. I feel like I went off on a tangent, okay? But trust me when I said I love this book. And you know, when a lot of people say when you read the first book, it's good and it's never as good. The second book or the third book is never as good. The second book was better. I loved it. It gave me everything. I flew through this book. This was an arc, by the way. I've got the arc. I don't know why I didn't bring the book here, but the book is here. I got the arc 2-3 months before the book came out. I don't know why I didn't pick it up. I regret not picking it up soon enough because I'm obsessed. I might have to get the finished copy and see if there's any difference. I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see if anyone said there's anything different about the advanced reader copy or the finished copy. So I don't know, but I enjoyed it. I gave my very first 5-star of the year. I'm so happy. I don't think I think I posted on my Instagram that I might change my mind on the rating, but talking about it now made me realize that I don't think I'm ever going to change the rating. It's going to stay 5-star. It's going to stay 5 stars. The next book I read was Hamatia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it follows a rock star who is in a band. You know, the stereotypical rock star who gets high, gets drunk, get with a lot of people, whatever. Follows him, and then it follows a K-pop idol. I can't believe I read this, but someone recommended it. I was like, they said it was a fun read. So I said, okay, why not? I'll read it. K-pop idol. I listen to K-pop and I like rock music or whatever and whatnot. So it follows our two main characters, one from the rock band who's a rock star. He's dating somebody, Camille, and they're getting married soon. And then I think it was an award show or something. The rock band were in the toilet, in the bathroom, the toilet, and they were chatting shit about the K-pop group, the K-pop band. And you know what they're like. You can imagine what they were saying, because everybody that's not into K-pop says the exact same thing. And they look like girls, the way makeup, huh? You know, you get the just think of any K-pop hater and just whatever they've said. That's what they were saying. One of the main guy comes out of the toilet while they were chatting crap about his band. I think they thought that he didn't understand English, but he understood English well. Okay, he understood English, and they were chatting rubbish. Our main character from the rock band felt bad, so when they met again somewhere else, they apologized and they became friends. And then turned into something more than friends because it felt like they saw each other, they felt each other, and it had a bit of cheating, but it was, I'm gonna say it's cheating, okay? Even though main character from the rock band says that his relationship with Camille is ended in whatever, but he still didn't physically go to Camille and say, we are finished before getting with our K-pop idol. I'm saying I'm calling because I don't remember the names, okay? I don't remember the names, okay? I'm just gonna call them Rock Band Guy and K-pop idol. Before Rock Band Guy and K-pop idol got together, Rock Band Guy didn't end it with Camille. So to me, that's cheating. So I deducted points because I hate the cheating trope. You can never make me like the cheating trope, no matter how much I like. No matter how much I like the main couples, no cheating before they get together because I don't like cheating. No, thank you. The only people that I'm going to accept cheating from is Buck and Eddie from 911. They are allowed because they have been emotionally cheating on their partners with each other, and I accept it because it's Buddy. Thank you. If you don't know 911, ignore this. If you know 911, you get me. Anyway, I think I gave it 3 stars. I was going to give it 3.5 stars, but I gave it 3 stars. Still good because it was enjoyable. I flew through it. It was really nice. You should read it. My second 5-star read, yes, you hear it. You heard it. You heard it right. Second 5-star read in January. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Andy Weir is the author of The Martian. If you've not read the book, I'm sure you've seen the movie or you've heard of the movie. It's got Matt Damon. The Martian, a guy stuck on Mars who had to survive before being rescued. Yeah, that. Project Hail Mary follows. It starts off with a guy who kept hearing the computers. A computer was asking him a question, what's 2 plus 2, what's whatever, and he was trying to answer, but he couldn't. But then once he answered, he unlocks another question. And when he became aware, he woke up, he's connected to all this tube. He figured out that he's been in a coma, but doesn't know for how long. The computer kept asking him, what's your name? And he doesn't remember his name. Doesn't remember how he got to where he was. He thought that he was being isolated because some virus escaped and whatever and whatnot. Turns out that my guy is on a mission to save Earth because the sun is dying and it's going to put Earth back into the ice age. So people are going to freeze to death. So they found out that there's a bacteria, life form, alien life form that's stealing energy from the sun. So he figured it out, and then NASA got involved. Everybody got involved. Turns out that he wasn't even chosen to go on this mission. He remembered that he didn't want to go on the mission, but only a few people would survive the whole journey because it's very far away. I think it's a 13 years journey. And imagine being stuck in a very small spacecraft for 13 years, 3 of you. So, they decided that they were going to put him to sleep. But my guy didn't want to go. But the person that was chosen, 2 people that were chosen to go, dying from a freak accident at the labs. They couldn't find anybody else in time, so they picked our main character, but he said no. And the person who was in charge of the mission said, where you're going, we're going to get you, we're going to inject you with some sedatives before the launch, and by the time you wake up, it's probably 13 years of your life gone. He wakes up, finds out that the 2 people on the mission with him have died before they even got to where they were going. Turns out that they didn't even get to where they were going. They are lost in space. He is lost in space, and his crew is dead. And he has to figure out how to save Earth, but he doesn't know where he is in the solar system. I was loving it. It was very sciencey. And then my favorite part happened. He made contact with alien life form. It was this robot, and he named it Rocky. And then they tried to communicate, and they figured out how to communicate with each other, and it was so cute. And they'd figure out how they were going to save each other and how they were going to go back to each other's planet, and and save their planet, because this algae thing is also destroying the aliens' planet as well. And they had to work together, but they couldn't be in the same room because they can't survive in each other's environment. So, but they made it work because Rocky is a smart cookie. Okay, he's very smart, and so is Grace. I think that's what I can't remember the main character's name. I suck at remembering names. Okay, I promise you, I love this book. Him and Rocky figured out how to stop this algae from destroying the planet, so they harvested it our main character found out that this was basically a suicide mission, and he didn't remember this. So when he found out, he was very sad that it was a suicide mission. So because they put enough, the algae thing powers the space because it's a very strong. It gives us very strong energy. So they used it to fuel the spacecraft to get to the destination, but there was not enough to get back. But they had this technology where he can send back the antidote thing and send it back to Earth to save Earth while he stays in the spaceship and dies. They found the thing they needed. They figured out how to use it, they manipulated it, they advanced it, and they created something that was gonna save their planet, right? Good. Happy. And then they said goodbye to each other, they were going their separate ways, and then there was something that can destroy this algae. It got into the our main character's spacecraft, but he figured it out quick enough for him to stop it and get rid of it. But then he realized that Rocky, the alien, the robot alien, probably wouldn't figure it out, which meant that he's probably going to be stranded in the middle of nowhere with no fuel to get back home or anything. He was going to die. So what did our main character do? He decided that he was going to go back and save Rocky, and basically meant that he was never going to be able to go back to Earth, which was very, very sad. And I was very sad, and I maybe shed a bit of tears because I was sad that he couldn't go back to Earth because I wanted him to go back to Earth. Say that he saved the day because he was just a secondary school teacher. I don't know what secondary school is in America, but that's what I'm saying. He's a secondary school teacher. He went back to save Rocky. Rocky had already given up hope, and he was so excited when I think it's Grace or Reese. I can't remember his name. Came back to save him, and then he takes him back to the robot takes our main character back to his planet, and they build him this dome where the atmosphere is safe enough for him to live, and he lives it out his days there. And I was sad that he couldn't go back to Earth, okay, but I was happy that he got to stay with Rocky, and he made contact with aliens, and he lived with them, and he could communicate with them. But it was kind of sad. But the book ended well, though. It ended with him going to. He teaches a group of robots, baby kid robots. So it was like it was back on Earth teaching his school kids and stuff, and it was a bittersweet ending. That's what I'm going to say. It was a bittersweet ending. I would recommend the audiobook because the narrator did such a good job narrating our main character and also the robot's voice. I loved it when he was narrating the robot's voice. It was Rocky and our main character's banter, even though sometimes it goes over Rocky's head, was fun to watch. I loved it. You should read it and pick it up. Next book, guys. The next book is another 5-star read. Can you believe I had 3 5-star reads this month 3. That's the same amount of 5-star reads I had in the whole of 2024. Is that not crazy? I think that's crazy. In the whole of 2024, I had 3 5-star books. And just in January alone, 3. 2025 is shaping up to be a good reading year. I feel like I just jinxed that. But no, I feel like a lot of books on my TV are going to be 5 stars, okay? This is the year I'm going to read a lot of 5-star reads. I'm not going to read books that I don't like, okay? Third 5-star read, I Who Have Never Known Men. Wow. I finished this book 3-4 days ago. And when I tell you, I still don't know how to put into words how this book made me feel. It was so good. In the beginning of the book, it's narrated by this lady who she's at old age and she's just recounting what's happened. And it was basically she was a little girl when they were all the women were separated from the men, the kids or whatever. She was a little girl, so she must have gotten mixed up with the older women, and they put her in the cage with other women, 39 other women. So there were 40 of them. They were stripped of everything. They only had like this plain clothes to wear. They at certain different time of the day they will give them food. They don't know whether it's morning, night, afternoon, whatever. They don't know what time it was. But this girl ends up, she was very smart. Okay, she would count her heartbeat and decided that this is 60 minutes. This is whatever. Or she was able to kind of figure out time. They're not allowed to like touch each other, like hug. They have to like if they do anything out of thingy, they will get whipped by the guards, women. And she was just curious because she's known nothing about that because they took her as a little child, so she's grown up in there, so she knew no different. And when she tries to talk to the older ladies, they kind of don't talk to her. And so she got angry and she said she was going to keep her own secret. So she would daydream about stuff. And she made a friend in there. And on a random day, something happened. An alarm goes off. It was just when the guard put the key in the lock. I think he was about to do something. He put the key in the lock, and an alarm went off. So all the guards runs out, but the guard left the key, and obviously the girls were able to unlock the thing. They were a bit skeptical. They stepped out like, "Oh, what's going on?" They thought the guards were going to come back, but the guards didn't come back. And then they got out of the building. It turns out they were in this cabin, but underground. They got up there and they found out they were in the middle of nowhere. They weren't even sure if they were still on Earth. The women there, they'd forgotten many things. Some of them remembered their old life. They'll recount their old life, but they don't remember much. And obviously, our main character doesn't know anything because she was there since she was a child. And it was just them traveling and trying to find other people in this place, but they couldn't find. They traveled for many. I think she traveled for a total of 20 something years before she stopped traveling. Um, and obviously, because she's the youngest, we all know how it's going to end. She's going to be she was the only one left because everybody was dying of either old age, other things. Somebody had like, I think she had cervical cancer or something like that. That's what I'm gathering. It didn't say cervical cancer from the symptoms. That's what it turns out. I felt like that was what it was. Some of them had strokes. Some of them had a. It was so sad. And every time they would come across a different cabin, the people and the ladies in the cage would be they died because the guards had run off at the same time, but with the keys, they were just the lucky 40. They were the lucky 40. I don't even know if it's lucky. They were lucky in the sense of they could get out, but then what did they get out to? Just traveling and not finding anything. I don't know. I don't really know how to put it into words because I cried. Okay, I cried many times. They would come across cabins, and the women in the cabin they'll all die, and when they leave the cabin, they'll like do like a little farewell ceremony, like not ceremony, but like they'll like say their prayers to them, and then they would leave signs to just in case anyone else finds them to show that they're alive. There's other people and stuff like that. It was just so sad. And then everyone started dying off, and because she was the youngest, she was the last one to go. And I cried when many of these ladies died. Some of these ladies died. For example, when Dorothy passed away, I cried. When her best friend passed away, guys, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. I don't even think I'm describing this book well, but just thinking about it makes me want to cry. It's so sad. And you don't like the author never actually explained anything. You don't find out anything at the end of the book. I'm just gonna start talking about the ending. You don't, because I'm just gonna cry. You don't find out anything because I don't know if I think I'm happy that the author kind of ended it that way, but also a part of me wants to find out why. How did we get here? What happened? Why was this? Who did this? Did anybody find them? Are they the only ones left on Earth? Because these people imagine traveling for over 20 years and not coming across a single other being. Is that not crazy? Not a single life form. I don't even think she came across an animal. Is that not crazy? But then like the author never elaborated. It just ended with her writing notes recounting just in case somebody finds this piece of paper, which I don't think she believed that anyone was going to find a piece of paper. It was so sad, but well written. I couldn't put this audiobook down. It was so good. That's my 5 star. I'm going to stop talking about it because I'll cry. If you've read it, let me know in the comments below. Let me know how it made you feel. Because, yeah, it was very sad, but it was very good. It's definitely going to be my top 5 reads of 2025 because it was amazing. The next book I read was an sports romance, but black sports romance, which I feel like I always struggle to find, or people never recommend them. The only thing I see is hockey, and we all know how hockey books are. So I was it'd come on my TikTok timeline. I'd seen somebody talk about basketball, black MM. I was like, okay, I'll tune in, I'll give it a chance. And I loved it. It was so wholesome. We've got Ty, who we meet him when he was still in school and he was playing his basketball game. He has a really good relationship with his mom and dad. He was happy. He was at his basketball game, and when he'd won the game, he turned around and where his mom and dad were supposed to be, they weren't there. It was a police officer and his coach, and he gets called over. Find out that his mom and dad had an accident and unfortunately passed away. So he was kind of broken, and his uncle took him in, and he still loved playing basketball, but his reason for wanting to go pro is that he felt like he owed his parents to go pro because his parents died on their way to watching his game, and they gave up a lot of things for him to be able to play basketball. So he felt like he owed it to them to become pro, to go pro, to become the best, to achieve everything. Anyway, he goes pros, he gets drafted, he's really good, and he meets Sid, who is somebody who he looks up to, who everyone knows is amazing. This is the person that he's being compared to, being like, oh, he's gonna break the rookie record that Sid set, and yada yada yada. They meet, they become friends, and then they fall in love, and it was so cute and it was awesome. It was a bit sad. Ty still had a lot of things to work through, like he's all the reason why he's playing basketball is it really the reason why he wants to play basketball. Sid kind of felt like Sid was a bit mean with that argument, but it was valid because I felt like Sid felt like he was in a relationship with Ty, and he was competing with Ty's he was competing for attention with Ty's dead pair like ghosts, because Ty hasn't really grieved. He hasn't really given himself time to heal. So a lot of their arguments, a lot of their problem was because of Ty not being able to ask for help, look like go to therapy, speak to somebody, and it's also because Sid's ex best friend and ex boyfriend, he had unalived himself because he was going through a lot. Didn't come from a good home. He struggled and he didn't get help. It was too late. So Sid didn't want to go through that again. So he kept pushing Ty to get help, but Ty didn't want help. He wasn't ready for help. And there's that saying where if somebody forced you to get help, you don't really it doesn't work. You have to want help for it to work. That was what it was like. But it was very cute. It was very sad. I cried some. I'm gonna definitely reread it. It was really good. I enjoyed it. It was fun to read. I gave it 4 stars. It was awesome. It was so good. I recommend it. Put the hockey romances down and go pick up Loving the Legend. Okay? If you want black romance, sports romance, and it's not hockey, it's basketball. Last but not the least is The Dagger and the Flame, which is here. The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. I have a lot to say. I say I have a lot, but I probably won't have a lot to say. I gave this book 3 stars. I wanted to give it 3.5, but no, I'm sticking to 3 stars. It was fun to read. When I read the first chapter, I was like, oh, this is amazing. I'll give you the plot. There's the daggers and the cloaks. The daggers are the thieves. No, the daggers are assassins and the cloaks are thieves. They use this magic shade. The daggers use this shade magic to enhance their abilities, but it's kind of killing them. But and then the cloak use the shade, but they use it in the equipment. So, for example, their cloaks, they use the shade, it hides them in the night and stuff like that. They're able to use shadows and stuff. And whereas the daggers ingest the shades, so it gives them power. They're able to manipulate the shadows and stuff like that. But it's unaliving them. We meet our main character, Seraphine. We meet Seraphine. She was on her way home. She saw that her house was on fire. Got there. She saw a random man still standing there. Her mom was dead on the floor. Her mom was a shade dealer. She was dealing shades, but to the cloaks, not to the daggers, for reasons unknown. And then obviously she died because somebody unalived her and were trying to unalive Seraphine. So Seraphine goes on the run. She remembers that her mom said that when if anything happens, run to this house, they will take you in. And she had to be like, I want to join the clerk and rah, rah, rah. They found out that she's Sylvie, which is her daughter. So they took her in. She trains to be the clerk, so she learns how to steal stuff, I guess. And anyway, there was war brewing between the clerks and the daggers. Ransom, he's a dagger who has been sent to unalive Seraphine. So Seraphine's his mark. He has to kill her, and they meet. And you know how enemies to lovers goes. Things happened. Seraphine had some form of magic that protected her from when Ransom wanted to unalive her. Turns out that that magic could get rid of shades and stuff, but that wasn't enough. That was what her mom was making. Her mom was making stuff to destroy shades, but the leader of the daggers is her dad, who power trip. It's gone to his head. He just wants too much power. Okay, a lot. He needs to go. So what did Sylvie want? Sylvie's mom decided. I mean, Seraphine's mom decided that to fight a monster, you need to create monsters. So she created monsters, but she didn't. She didn't create the antidote before she got. So Seraphine had to figure it out and sort of fix her mom's problems. Beginning of the first chapter, I really enjoyed it because I was like, oh, this is interesting. And my mutual on TikTok and Instagram, Moshin, had recommended it. He loved this book so much. So I was like, I'm going to give it a go. The first chapter was very good. Don't get me wrong. I was hooked because she was, you know, the first chapter opened up. Her mom had been unalived. Her house is burning. She's on the run. She's trying to get sanctuary from this house that she didn't know anything about anyway. And then it just kind of dwindled, and it dragged. The first chapter was good, and then it took up until 30% of the book for me to start enjoying the book, which took a lot. At one point, I wanted to put the book down, but I decided I'm not going to put the book down. It took 30% of the book for me to start enjoying it after enjoying the first chapter, which is bizarre because it's a great start and just dipped and then plateaued. And they got good again after 30%. Does that make sense? One flaw that I might pull is I just didn't see the point of Ransom's POV. I felt like, yeah, we did need Ransom's POV sometime, but I just don't feel like it was done well because I felt like whenever we got to Ransom's POV, whenever him and Seraphine have interacted while we're reading Seraphine's POV, whenever it jumps to Ransom's POV, it's like it's like the author is telling us the same thing that we had just seen happen in Seraphine's POV. I don't need to just move the plot on from don't get me wrong, there's some Ransom's POV that had nothing to do with Seraphine, it was fun, but some of them after they interacted, I felt like some of the POV straight after Ransom's POV was unnecessary because it's like the author is regurgitating the same thing that they had written in Seraphine's POV, but they're doing it in Ransom's POV. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, I just feel like some Ransom's POV were unnecessary. However, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Again, enemies to lovers. You know how I feel about enemies to lovers. I like a good enemies to lovers. This is like enemies to I feel like enemies to lovers should have a spectrum. Like enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers. Can we really say they're enemies to lovers if they fall in love straight away and find each other attractive straight away? No. I feel like Dagger and the Flame. It's there with enemies to lovers. I guess they did hate each other, but the hate wasn't deep enough for me. Okay, the enemy wasn't enemy enough for me. Okay, so I felt like I'm gonna put on my spectrum. You might think it's good enemies to lovers. My enemies to lovers spectrum, I think it's there, middle, smack bang in the middle. I will definitely be reading book 2 because I want to know how it ends. Those are the books I read in the month of January. I really enjoyed my reading month. The only book I didn't read that was on my TBR was Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief, because I wanted to start my reread, but I didn't get to it, unfortunately. But I will get to it. I felt like I had a really good reading month. 8 books, 3 5 stars. Good reading month, if I do say so myself. If you've read any of these books, please comment below and let me know if you enjoyed them or if they are on your TBR. Thank you for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. and I will see you next time. Bye.